The air hung heavy with the scent of fresh rain on warm earth, mingling with the sweet, spicy aroma of cinnamon and cloves wafting from the kitchen where my grandmother's old stove hummed softly, its metal sides radiating a gentle heat that chased away the evening chill. It was the 24th of December, and in our small house on the outskirts of a quiet Brazilian town, the summer breeze whispered through the open windows, carrying the distant laughter of children playing under the streetlights that flickered like hesitant stars. The wooden floorboards creaked under my bare feet as I paced, feeling the smooth, worn grains against my skin, each step stirring up memories that tasted like bittersweet chocolate on my tongue. Outside, the crickets chirped in rhythmic harmony, a lullaby that blended with the faint strum of a guitar from a neighbor's porch, evoking a sense of timeless warmth and anticipation. My heart swelled with a mix of joy and longing, for this was the night when our family gathered not for glittering packages, but for something far more precious, letters written from the soul. I remember the first time I truly understood the magic of it all, back when I was just a boy of 8 years old. The sun had dipped low that afternoon, painting the sky in hues of orange and pink that I could feel as a soft glow on my cheeks, even now in recollection. The heat of the day lingered, making the air thick and humid, sticking to my skin like a loving embrace. My mother, with her calloused hands from tending the garden, sat at the rickety table under the dim light of a single bulb that buzzed faintly, casting long shadows that danced like playful spirits on the walls. The smell of pan de queso baking in the oven filled the room, its cheesy, doughy essence mixing with the earthy tang of freshly brewed coffee steaming in chipped mugs. She held a pencil in her hand, its tip scratching softly against the paper, a sound as comforting as the rustle of leaves in the wind. "Filho," she said, her voice warm and melodic, laced with that gentle Brazilian lilt that rolled like waves on the shore. "This year, instead of chasing after toys we can't afford, we'll give each other words. Words that wrap around the heart tighter than any ribbon." My father nodded from his chair by the window, where the evening light filtered through lace curtains, soft and diffused, warming his weathered face. He smelled of tobacco and sweat from the fields, a rugged scent that spoke of hard days and quiet strength. "It's how we did it when I was young," he added, his words slow and thoughtful, each one carrying the weight of stories untold. "Back then, in the old village, presents were for the rich. But letters? They were for everyone. They held dreams, regrets, promises. And on Christmas Eve, we'd read them aloud, feeling the emotions rise like the tide." The room felt alive with his words, the air buzzing with an electric charge of nostalgia that made my young chest tighten with excitement and a touch of fear. What if my words weren't enough? That night, as the clock ticked steadily toward midnight, its hands moving with a soft, insistent click that echoed in the quiet house, we gathered in the living room. The floor was cool under my crossed legs, the tiles retaining the day's warmth like a secret keeper. Candles flickered on the mantel, their flames casting a golden hue that smelled of melting wax and hope, pushing back the encroaching darkness. My sister, Anna, with her hair tied back in a ribbon that felt silky when I brushed against it, clutched her envelope tightly, her small fingers trembling slightly. The paper crinkled under her grip, a crisp sound that heightened the anticipation. "I wrote about the time we caught fireflies in the backyard," she whispered to me, her breath warm against my ear, carrying the faint minty scent from the gum she chewed nervously. Grandma started first, her voice quivering like the leaves in a summer storm, rich with the accent of her rural upbringing. She unfolded the letter from Grandpa, who had passed 2 years earlier, but whose words we kept alive each Christmas. "My dearest Maria," she read, and the room fell silent, save for the distant call of a night bird outside. "In this season of lights, I remember the first Christmas we shared, under the mango tree heavy with fruit, its branches swaying in the warm wind that carried the scent of ripening sweetness. The air was alive with the buzz of insects, and your laughter mingled with it, a melody that warmed me more than the sun ever could. We had nothing but each other, no gifts wrapped in paper, but oh, the words we exchanged, promises of forever that I feel even now in the quiet of my heart." Tears glistened in her eyes, reflecting the candlelight, and I felt a lump form in my throat, the emotion thick and palpable, like the humid air pressing in. As she continued, describing the touch of his hand in hers, rough yet tender, and the way the stars twinkled above like scattered diamonds, I could almost feel the rough bark of that mango tree against my back, hear the soft thud of fruit falling to the ground, smell the juicy ripeness bursting open. The story wove around us, pulling us into a past where love was simple and profound, where the heat of the day gave way to a cool night breeze that rustled the leaves and cooled our skin. By the time she finished, the room was filled with a shared silence, broken only by soft sniffles, the kind that come from hearts too full to speak. Then it was my turn. My hands shook as I opened the letter from my mother, the paper soft and slightly damp from the humidity, its edges curling like welcoming arms. Her handwriting looped elegantly, each word a caress. My little Joao, I read aloud, my voice cracking at first, then gaining strength from the warmth in her words. This Christmas, I want you to know how your smile lights up the darkest days, like the fireworks that explode over the town square on New Year's Eve, their booms echoing through the streets and filling the air with the sharp scent of gunpowder and joy. Remember last summer, when we walked along the riverbank, the water cool and rushing over our feet, carrying away pebbles with a gentle gurgle? You skipped stones, and each splash was a reminder of how life moves forward, but the moments we share stay etched in our souls. The words enveloped me, making me feel seen and cherished, the emotion rising like a wave, warm and overwhelming. We passed the letters around, each one unfolding layers of our lives. My father's letter to Anna spoke of her bravery, recalling the time she climbed the old jacaranda tree in the yard, its purple blossoms raining down like confetti in the wind, their floral scent intoxicating. He described the scratch of branches against her skin, the thrill of height making her heart pound, and the pride he felt watching her from below, the sun hot on his neck. Anna's letter to me was filled with sibling secrets, the games we played in the rain, mud squelching between our toes, the laughter bubbling up as thunder rolled in the distance, a deep rumble that vibrated through our chests. As the hours slipped by, the night deepened, the air growing cooler with a hint of dew that promised morning freshness. The candles burned low, their flames sputtering softly, releasing wisps of smoke that curled lazily upward. Outside, the town quieted, the occasional bark of a dog or hoot of an owl punctuating the peace. Our voices rose and fell in a symphony of shared stories, each letter a thread binding us closer. There were no shiny toys or fancy clothes, but in their place, a richness that filled the soul, the tang of shared tears, the warmth of hugs that lingered, arms wrapped tightly, fabric soft against skin, heartbeats sinking in rhythm. By midnight, as the church bells tolled in the distance, their deep, resonant peals vibrating through the walls and into our bones, we felt the true spirit of Christmas. It wasn't in the material, but in the intangible, the love poured onto paper, the emotions that lingered long after the words faded. That night, as I lay in bed, the sheets cool and crisp against my skin, the scent of extinguished candles still hanging in the air, I drifted to sleep with a heart full, dreaming of letters yet to be written. Years passed, and the tradition endured, evolving with us like the seasons. I grew into a young man, my hands now strong from work in the fields, calluses forming where once there were only soft palms. The house remained the same, its walls echoing with the ghosts of past Christmases, the creak of the door a familiar welcome. One particular year, when I was 18, the air was unusually heavy with the promise of rain, thunder grumbling far off like an old friend approaching. The smell of wet soil mixed with the festive baking, brigadeiros cooling on the counter, their chocolatey richness tempting my fingers to sneak a taste, sticky and sweet. That Christmas Eve, we welcomed my first love, Sophia, into the fold. She arrived with a shy smile, her dress fluttering in the breeze, carrying the faint perfume of jasmine from her garden. Her hand in mine felt warm and soft, a spark of electricity that made my pulse quicken. As we sat in the circle, the room aglow with more candles now, their light softer, more intimate, she hesitated with her letter. I've never done this before, she murmured, her voice a gentle cadence with that same Brazilian warmth, words flowing like a river. The family encouraged her, voices overlapping in a chorus of reassurance, the air thick with empathy. Her letter to me was a revelation. Joao, in the short time we've known each other, you've shown me a world where words matter more than wealth, she read, her tone steadying as emotion built. Remember our walk through the market last month? The stalls bustling with vendors calling out, their voices rising over the sizzle of pasties frying in hot oil, the aroma of garlic and cheese making our mouths water. The sun beat down, hot and unrelenting, sweat trickling down our backs, but your hand in mine made it all magical. The colors of fruits piled high, oranges bursting with juice, mangoes golden and ripe, their scents mingling with spices and fresh bread. You shared stories of your childhood, and I felt the pull of your heart, drawing me in like the tide. Listening, I felt a rush of warmth spread through me, not just from the humid air, but from the depth of her feelings. My letter to her recounted our first kiss under the stars, the night air cool after a rain, the ground soft and muddy underfoot, the taste of her lips sweet like stolen fruit. The family listened, the room filled with soft sighs and knowing smiles, the bond strengthening with each shared vulnerability. But life, as it does, brought changes. My parents grew older, their steps slower, the lines on their faces deeper, etched by time like the cracks in our old walls. One Christmas, when the heat was oppressive, the fan whirring lazily overhead stirring the air without much relief, we read letters that spoke of farewells and enduring love. My mother's words to my father trembled with gratitude. For 40 years, you've been my anchor in the storms, like that night we danced in the rain, water soaking our clothes, cold and refreshing, laughter echoing as lightning flashed, illuminating your face in stark, beautiful relief. The emotion choked us all, tears flowing freely, salty on our lips, the room heavy with a poignant mix. Yet, in that sorrow, there was joy, the knowledge that our letters preserved what time could not erase. Now, as an old man myself, sitting in that same house, the wood groaning with age, the scents and sounds a tapestry of memories, I prepare for another Christmas Eve. The grandchildren gather, their young voices a fresh melody, feet pattering on the floor. The tradition lives on, letters exchanged, not bought gifts, each word a gift of the heart. The air is still warm, the breeze carrying promises, and as we begin to read, I feel the continuum of love, timeless and immersive. The grandchildren's laughter bubbles up like a spring, filling the room with a lightness that contrasts the weight of years on my shoulders. Little Maria, with her curly hair bouncing as she skips, hands me her letter first, the paper folded clumsily, smelling faintly of crayons and innocence. Her small hand is warm in mine, sticky from the sweets she's been sneaking, and as I unfold it, the crinkle is loud in the hushed anticipation. "Vovo," she reads in her high, clear voice, stumbling over words but pressing on with determination. "You tell the best stories about when you were little. Like the time you and Tia Anna built a fort from banana leaves in the backyard, the big green leaves rustling and slapping against each other in the wind, their fresh, earthy smell mixing with the mud from the rain. You said it felt like an adventure, the raindrops cool on your skin, plopping down with soft thuds, and inside, it was cozy and dark like a secret world." Her words transport me back, the sensory rush immediate, the slick feel of wet leaves, the chill of water trickling down my neck, the giggles suppressed to whispers. The family listens, the room warmed by the overhead light that hums softly, casting a yellow glow that feels like sunlight trapped indoors. Pedro, her brother, goes next, his letter to his mother describing a family outing to the beach last summer. "The sand was hot under our feet, burning at first then cooling as we reached the water," he says, his voice eager. "Waves crashing with a roar that made my ears ring, salty spray misting our faces, tasting like the ocean on our lips. We built castles, the wet sand gritty between fingers, collapsing with a soft slump when the tide came in, and you held my hand, your grip firm and reassuring amid the chaos." The descriptions pull us all in, the air in the room seeming to shift, carrying phantom scents of sea salt and sunscreen. As the evening progresses, the adults share deeper letters. My daughter, now a mother herself, reads to her husband, "In this busy life, I cherish the quiet moments, like when we sit on the porch at dusk, the air cooling as the sun sets, crickets starting their chorus, the wooden swing creaking rhythmically. Your arm around me feels solid, your cologne a familiar spice that mingles with the evening blooms, and in those silences, our hearts speak volumes. Emotion swells, a tangible presence, making throats tight and eyes misty. The tradition, born from necessity, has become our legacy, a way to connect across generations without the distraction of material things. No wrapping paper crinkles here, no bows untied. Instead, envelopes opened with care, the paper's texture a prelude to the treasures within. One letter stands out this year, from my grandson to me, evoking a Christmas long ago. "Vovo, tell us again about the year the power went out," he prompts in his writing, and as I read it aloud, the memory floods back. It was 1980-something, the storm raging outside, wind howling like a beast, rain pelting the roof with relentless taps that grew into a roar. The lights flickered and died, plunging us into darkness thick as velvet, the air charged with ozone from lightning strikes that boomed overhead, shaking the windows. We huddled by candlelight, flames leaping erratically, heat kissing our faces, wax dripping with soft plops. The letters were read by that flickering glow, voices rising above the tempest, words of love cutting through the fear, binding us tighter than ever. Recalling it now, I feel the chill of that night despite the current warmth, the contrast heightening the immersion. The grandchildren lean in, their breaths held, eyes wide though I describe every detail. The acrid smell of storm air seeping through cracks, the comforting press of bodies close together, the eventual calm as the rain softened to a drizzle, leaving the world washed clean. As midnight approaches once more, the church bells ring out, their tolls deep and resonant, vibrating through the house like a heartbeat. We conclude with embraces, arms enveloping, fabrics rustling, sense of family mingling, soap, sweat, and sweetness. The letters are tucked away, but their essence lingers, a warm glow in the chest that defies the cooling night. Yet, the story of our Christmases isn't just in the past, it unfolds anew each year. Last year, when illness kept my daughter away, we adapted, sending letters through the mail, the envelopes arriving with the stamp's inky mark, paper carrying faint traces of distant homes, the subtle aroma of her kitchen spices, perhaps. Reading them over the phone, her voice crackling slightly through the line, brought the same immersion, emotions bridging the miles. This tradition reminds us that Christmas is felt, not bought. In the sensory tapestry of sounds like shared laughter, smells of home-cooked feasts, touches of loving hands, and the deep well of feelings stirred by words, we find enchantment. Nostalgia wraps around us like a blanket, soft and familiar, evoking tears and smiles in equal measure. The essence of our letters lies in their honesty, stripping away pretenses to reveal the raw beauty of human connection. Take, for instance, the year my sister Anna moved to the city, her absence a palpable void in the room that Christmas Eve. The house felt emptier, the air less vibrant without her infectious energy, but her letter arrived like a beacon. Unfolding it, the paper crisp from the journey, carrying a faint urban scent of exhaust mixed with her perfume, I read her words aloud to the family. "Dear ones," she wrote, "though miles separate us, I close my eyes and feel the warmth of our gatherings, the sizzle of feijoada on the stove, beans and meat stewing in a rich broth that fills the air with savory depth, steam rising hot and inviting. The clink of spoons against bowls, the burst of flavors on the tongue, salty, smoky, comforting. And the hugs, oh, the hugs that squeeze just right, conveying what words sometimes fail to." Her descriptions made her presence felt, the emotion choking my voice as I continued. I miss the way the evening light slants through the windows, golden and soft, warming the room as we share stories. The touch of Vovo's hand on my shoulder, wrinkled yet strong, grounding me in love. Tears welled, the room heavy with longing, but also gratitude, the sensory recall bridging the gap. In response, we each wrote back, our letters a chorus of invitation and reminiscence. Mine spoke of the garden she loved, now blooming with poinsettias for Christmas, their red leaves vibrant against the green, petals velvety to the touch, releasing a mild green scent when brushed. "Come home soon," I urged. "Feel the soil under your fingers again, warm from the sun. Hear the birds chirping their morning songs. Taste the fresh fruit plucked right from the branch, juicy and sweet exploding in your mouth." These exchanges deepened our bonds, turning distance into a mere illusion. The tradition taught us resilience, how words could heal and sustain. Another memorable Christmas came during hard times, when the economy faltered, jobs scarce, the air thick with worry like unspoken fog. Yet on that eve, as we sat with simpler fare, rice and beans steaming, their humble aroma grounding us, the letters shone brighter. My father's, his last before he passed, was profound. In lean years, we learn what's essential. Not the feast's abundance, but the love shared around the table, the steam rising to warm faces, the clatter of utensils a symphony of togetherness. Feel my pride in you all, like the steady beat of my heart, enduring. His voice, though gone now, echoes in memory, the timbre deep and reassuring, emotion raw. We wept openly that night, hugs lingering longer, bodies pressing close, heat shared in solidarity. The candle's light seemed dimmer, yet more intimate, shadows playing on faces etched with care lines. Now passing the torch to the younger ones, I watch as they craft their letters with earnest concentration, pencils scratching, brows furrowed. Little ones dictate to parents, words tumbling out like playful puppies, descriptions of playtime in the yard, grass tickling bare feet, sun hot overhead, laughter ringing clear. Older teens add depth, speaking of dreams and fears, voices cracking with vulnerability. One such letter from my granddaughter to her sibling captures the spirit. "Remember chasing butterflies in the meadow? Their wings fluttering with a whisper-soft sound, colors flashing in the sunlight, the air buzzing with their dance. The grass smelled fresh cut, dew cool on our skin as we ran, breathless and free. That's how I feel about you, vibrant, essential. The immersion is total, each story a portal to shared experiences. As the family grows, so does the web of letters, intertwining lives in a tapestry rich with sensation and sentiment. But let's not forget the enchantment that Christmas brings, a magical overlay on our tradition. In our town, legends whisper of spirits visiting on Eve, drawn by pure hearts. Though we never saw them, the letters seem to invite a mystical presence, the air sometimes shimmering with unexplained warmth, a faint jingle like distant bells, evoking wonder. One year, as a storm cleared just before midnight, the sky unveiled stars twinkling sharply, their light piercing the humidity. Reading outside under that canopy, voices carrying on the breeze, felt ethereal, emotions heightened by nature's display. This is the power of our way, nostalgic, immersive binding. In a world rushing toward consumerism, we pause, feel, connect through words that evoke every sense, every heartbeat. As the years accumulate like layers of sediment, each Christmas adds depth to our family's narrative, the letters becoming a chronicle of lives lived fully. I recall a particularly poignant season, when my first grandchild was born just weeks before the holiday. The house buzzed with new energy, the cries of the infant a fresh melody blending with the familiar sounds, the pop of corn kernels heating for popoka, their buttery scent wafting, the soft coos turning to gurgles of delight. That eve, we included a letter from the baby, dictated in whimsy by his parents. Though I can't write yet, I feel your love in the gentle rocks of the cradle, wood creaking rhythmically, the blanket soft and warm against my skin, milk's sweet taste lingering. The lights twinkling on the tree reflect in your eyes, warm and loving, as you hold me close, your heartbeat a steady drum lulling me. The words brought laughter through tears, the room alive with the miracle of new life, scents of baby powder mingling with festive spices. Holding him, his tiny fingers curling around mine, warm and trusting, amplified the emotion, making the tradition feel eternal. Challenges tested us too, like the year floods ravaged the town, water rising with a relentless rush, muddy and cold, soaking everything in its path. Our home spared, but neighbors lost much, the air heavy with damp rot and despair. That Christmas, letters extended beyond family, shared with the community in a gathering at the church hall, floors still slick, echoes amplifying voices. Stories of loss and hope poured out, the roar of waters receding, the chill of evacuation, the warmth of strangers' aid, hands clasping in solidarity. One letter from a neighbor read, "In the aftermath, your kindness was a light, hot soup steaming in bowls, savory broth warming from within, blankets draped over shoulders, rough wool scratching comfortingly. The flood took things, but not our spirit, felt in the shared embraces, tears mingling salty on cheeks." This expanded the magic, turning personal tradition into communal healing, emotions raw and unifying. In quieter years, the focus sharpened on introspection. My own letters evolved, reflecting on life's tapestry, the joy of watching children grow, their footsteps evolving from patters to strides, voices deepening, the sorrow of losses, absences felt like cool voids in the warm room. One to my late wife. "Though you're gone, I feel you in the breeze through the curtains, soft and whispering, carrying your favorite floral scent from the garden. Christmas without you is dimmer, candles light less merry, but your words and old letters sustain me, emotions as vivid as the day written." Reading it aloud, voice trembling, brings catharsis, the family circling closer, hands touching knees, a chain of support. The grandchildren, now authoring their own, infuse fresh perspectives. A teen's letter explores identity. "In this changing world, I find anchor in our rituals, the crackle of paper unfolding, anticipation electric, words flowing like the river we picnic by, water cool and gurgling over stones, picnic smells of fresh bread and cheese tempting." Their authenticity, with modern slang blending old cadences, keeps the tradition vibrant, familiar to younger ears. As another eve dawns, preparations hum, the oven's heat baking sweets, aromas building layered delight, decorations hung, tinsel rustling, anticipation palpable in quickened breaths. We gather, circle tight, the air charged, and begin, the unfolding of souls, sensory and emotional immersion complete.